Hello everybody, welcome to What's in the Box. Today we are going to be having a look at the new 2-player starter set for Dystopian Wars from the guys at Warcradle. So this is Fortune and Glory. So let's get stuck into it. Right, we have our box, and as you can see from the front cover, we have the Sultanate and the Union in this particular box, and both sides are bringing some aerial assets, shall we say, to the tabletop. Back of the box gives you a better idea of what you're getting. So we're getting our big Sultanate ship, some smaller Sultanate ships, and on the Union side, we're getting a lot of like airships, so a lot of air power. Now, the smaller ships are using the standard sprues, so you will get some additional bits in there. Along the bottom here, we can see all of the different variations, or at least a good dose of them, and then all the little ancillary bits. But let's dive into the box and get a look. Right, so inside of our box, we're getting everything we need to play. So we've got our card decks, we get our attacking dice, we get our status effect dice, enough for both players to have their own set without ever having to share. Well, unless you're firing something ridiculously big. We get all of our flight stands, so all of the little stocks that'll let everything be all floaty. We get all of our paperwork. We'll take a look at that in a second. We get a big honky chunky piece of resin. So that's our big Sultanate ship, which comes on 2 sprues. And then digging further down, we've got all of our water bases, which I quite like. They're a nice little extra touch to really theme things. We got our regular bases. We got our templates. And I think everything else in here is a little bit closer, or needs to be a little closer, so we'll do that in a minute. But let's start digging in. So this is a new addition as far as I'm aware. And what this is a nice big sheet that is going to give you a bit of background on the world, some of the factions. You get a lovely big bit of art. And on the other side, which is what I really like, we actually get a map of the world. So on this side we have, Europe and Asia. On the other side we have the Americas. But everything is color-coded to show you what factions sort of control what territory, so you can sort of theme what you're doing. You can actually tell a little bit more of a narrative story when you're playing out your games. So nice little addition, nice little quality of life thing. I always quite like that sort of thing being in my starter sets. Just grounds me in the world a little better. We get our campaign book. This is just a nice little booklet that's going to take you through the storyline of what's happening in this box, give you some scenarios to play, and then give you all of your instructions on how to build each different airship or sea ship. So all pretty straightforward, should be reasonably easy, even for some of our younger viewers out there to work their way through this. And in the back, we get some of our quick reference sheets, which are always a godsend. We then get our main rulebook. So nice little A5 main rulebook. Now, most of this is actually background on the world. So if I flick through here really quickly, yep, there's our scenarios. So from about this point onward, the back side of the book, that is all backstory about the world, actually introducing you to who the factions are, what their sort of motivations are. And on this front side, what we have here is we've got our main rules, some of the basic scenarios you're going to want to use to play, and all of like your weapon terms and stuff, which is an important part of the game. We also get 2 token sheets, which give us our different status effects for whenever you're taking damage through the game. Let's start off with the Sultanate Aerial Dreadnought. So as you can see, big honky chunk piece of resin. A little bit of flashing on the inner parts here, but a little run with a blade and you will get those cut out and it'll look perfect. Don't worry about this big resin gate at the back either, because if I bring in our other little sprue here, you'll see this is your engine setup. So that will basically just lock right into there and cover that up for you. We've also got like control like deck here, and what appears to be a little shield generator. Looks like it's going to be really simple to put together. Quite a weight to it, so we'll see how that actually stands up once we get it onto a flight stand for whenever we're playing some games. We'll maybe get these on the table at some point. I make no promises. We then have 2 flavors of sprue. So our first couple, I believe, are for the Sultanate. Hopefully I get that right. So we've got lots of our standard little guns here, our SRS tokens, some of the body plates. And the detail on it is pretty dang crisp. down the bottom we've got some more decking, some of the shield generators and such, and little separate flyers. That's, see, yeah, right here, that's quite the nice little touch there. I quite like that. Flipping it over, we can see some of the details on the other sides. We can see our broadsides and things, but I'll bring these in built in a little moment. So we'll put that one out of the way, and then we have our other one here. So again, these are basically modular kits that are going to build all of the different classifications of airship or sea ship that you're going to want. So I think that previous one was doing some of the more sea stuff. I'm pretty sure this one does more of the air stuff, but we've also got a few different types of SRS tokens. So we've got one that appears to be on land, on sea, and then what appears to be like a little ammunition cache or something. Quite cool. It's nice to have those extra details just included on the sprues. Our next one is our American, and the way the guys designed these to be so modular, I think a couple of these sprues will build the big American ship, and then we've also got like a little rotor bladed contraption here as well. But we can see we've got all of our like arms and stuff for building the main structure. More SRS tokens. So I don't know, maybe you want to build some of these with some SRS capability, because it is quite useful in game. We've got like the end caps and stuff, and then the sections that come together to make the main body of your airship. But so let me bring in our first American ship here. So you can see down here, this is the bottom side, and it goes together really nicely, but with the actual modular design of this, so if that front cap wasn't on there, you would basically be adding this component to actually increase the length of it. I'm not sure which side is front or back. I'm guessing something along these lines to actually build it out further to be the big ship for the Union side here. But again, went together pretty nicely. No major issues, just, you know, be gentle, do your dry fitting is always the way to do it. We then have some of our little rotor bladed flyers, and they just sit really nicely on the sea base with the flying stock, and details are really nice and sharp on these. What else have we got here? Let's dive into a little bit of the Sultanate stuff. So they have this, which is quite traditional, not a huge amount of armaments on it, but it's got like shield generators and stuff, so I'm sure the rules for this will be quite useful. And it looks like it's got some repair arms on here as well. We then have some of our flyers. So this would be our big flyer for the Sultanate in this particular box. And you can see we've got our little turret on the front here. I always prefer to leave these separate. That way, if there are weapon options and I can build multiple turrets, I can just trade them out for whenever I'm playing my games. That, and it's fun just to turn them to actually face your opponent when they're down on the table. But again, nice crisp detail. We can see our engine pods on the back, our main body. We then have some smaller ones as well. So we've got little things like this. We've got our broadsides down here, our command deck. Very nice and really easy to put together. And once you get them together and get them on the table with a bit of paint on them, they will look pretty dang good. This one I found a little odd because it's like an asymmetric design. You've got the big wing out to one side with the engine pod. So I don't think this is pod racing, but I think you are getting a lot in this box, which should give you a really viable setup for what you're doing. We've then got our last couple of tiny ships. So itty bitty one and less itty bitty one. But overall, it goes together really nicely. So there we have it. That is the Fortune and Glory 2-player starter set for Dystopian Wars. Overall, I think really good set. This is the one that would really tempt me to dive in because Union are my favorite faction. But drop the comments below. Tell me what you think. Is this the one for you, or is there a faction pairing that you're waiting for? I'll move on. I'll see you again soon.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.